County welcomed more than 30 new staff members to its law enforcement center today, including 24 new corrections officers. We were there as the officers were sworn in, along with 10 new emergency communications specialists in the dispatch center, 3 bailiffs, and 7 others in various roles. St. Louis County Sheriff Gordon Ramsay says his staff and leadership team stepped up their recruiting efforts, knowing that when someone calls 911, someone should be there to take the call.
We've changed the thought process from, making sure we're close to, our allotted amount to overhiring, to make sure when we know people are leaving that there's a succession plan to replace the person that's leaving, so that we don't have these vacancies where there's no one there.
Sheriff Ramsay says their office changed from a once or twice a year hiring practice to a continuous application process to find the best people for the job. And he says so far it's paying off.